everybody, hello, and welcome back to leighkasmr. Now today I'm going to be asking you some questions. Nothing crazy, just getting to know you a little better. I have 100 questions all laid out here for me, and I have a trusty notebook so I can write down your answers. Now, if you feel uncomfortable answering any of these questions, you don't actually have to answer them, but try your best to answer as many as you can, okay? Some of them might be a bit personal, and it's okay to feel a bit uncomfortable with answering these, but just try your best to answer as many as you can. Now, we've got a lot to go through, so I think maybe we should start now, okay? Right, just to get a good understanding, what's your full name? Okay. Date of birth? Okay, so how old are you then? Right. What's your biological sex? Remember, you don't have to answer any of these, but try your best, okay? Okay, and your gender identity? Okay, very good. If you don't mind me asking, what's your height? And your current weight? Right. Do you have any allergies that you know of? Like, could be seasonal, could be you're allergic to peanuts, anything like that? Yeah. Okay, are you taking any medication? Anything like that? Can be in any sort of medication you take. Okay. Do you have any chronic conditions that you take any of this medication for? Yeah. Okay, very good. Do you smoke or use any tobacco or nicotine products like that? Okay. Do you drink alcohol? If you do, how often do you drink? Okay. Yeah, it's good to stay healthy, isn't it? Yeah, do you use any recreational drugs? Could be anything, smoke a bit of weed, a bit of crack, any of that sort of stuff. It's just best to let me know, Okay. What does your typical diet look like? Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's hard to keep a good diet, especially if you're a bit depressed, if you have all sorts of, if you're going out lots, it's difficult, I know. I'm the same really with diet and all that. Okay. How often do you exercise? Yeah. I get you. Do you have any pets? Okay. How many pets do you have? Okay. What's your relationship status? Okay. How many siblings do you have, if any at all? Okay. Do you have any hobbies? Guitar, gaming. Do you study anything like that? Just what do you do in your spare time? Okay. What are you planning on doing after this? Like, what does your day look like from here? Yep. Okay. Okay, that's very good. That's the first part of our questioning out of the way, really. It might start getting a bit weirder from here. I must warn you, but I mean, you did very well with that, so I don't expect it to be that weird. Where were you on the 17th of September 2016 at 9:35 p.m? Yeah, exactly 9:35 p.m. Okay. Right, what's a secret you've never told anyone? I mean, anyone. I'm not going to tell anyone. It's not my job to tell anyone, but it's just for the questionnaire. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Do you think you're emotionally unavailable? Okay. Have you ever ghosted anyone? Could be once, years ago, like you're on it all the time, anything like that. Okay. What's something you deeply regret? Like your biggest regret? Okay. Right, have you ever been in love with someone who doesn't love you back? Okay. Do you feel misunderstood? Yeah. Okay. How do you self-sabotage? Like, everyone has their vices, what's... Okay. What's a part of yourself that you try to hide from other people, Yeah, okay. What's a lie that you tell all the time? It can be something mundane. Yeah. Right, let's see. Do you believe in soulmates? Yeah. Okay. When was the last time you felt truly at peace? Okay. Do you think you're a good person? Like, do you really think you're a good person? Okay. What would you do if you knew no one would judge you for it? You know, if you could do anything and nobody would ever judge you. Okay. What memory makes you cry? I don't want to bring you to tears here, but remember, you don't have to answer them, but it's a bit drab at the minute. I mean, I'm just trying to build a good sort of understanding of who you are, you know. Right. Have you ever betrayed someone? Okay. What's something you're ashamed of but won't change? Okay. Have you ever been addicted to something? Could be anything, could be video games, you know, recreational drugs, anything like that. Yep, okay. What's your relationship with your parents really like? You know, you say, oh, it's good or whatever, but what is it really like? Okay. Right, what would you wish people would ask you more often? I think a lot of people would agree with you there. Hold on, let me get more questions here. What's the worst thing you've ever done to someone? Remember, this is completely confidential. Just try to be as honest as possible. Okay. Would you clone yourself if it meant the clone might turn on you? I know it's a bit of a bizarre question, but bear with me here. It's quite an interesting question. I don't really understand that question, but yeah, I've got to ask you. I've got to build a good picture. Have you ever imagined faking your own death? Yeah. Okay. What's something you wish you never found out? Okay. Do you think you're more loved or feared? You know, which one suits you more? Okay. If your consciousness could live forever but your body couldn't, would you do that? Okay. What would you say to your 10-year-old self? Okay. What would your younger self think of you now, do you think? Yeah. Have you ever questioned your entire identity? Okay. When do you feel most alone? Okay. Right, we're up to question 50 now. So things might be getting a little bit weird from now on, but just stick with me, okay? You've done very good with answering these questions so far. We're just about halfway there. And yeah, I've got some good answers here, actually. I'm quite happy with these answers. I mean, of course it's all confidential. I just need this to build a good understanding of you, okay? Have you ever felt like you're being watched? Like, really watched? Okay. Do you ever imagine you're in a simulation? What's the most disturbing thought that you've never shared? Okay. If you're invisible for a day, what would you actually do? Okay. What's the weirdest dream you've ever had? If you can remember, I'm sure you can think of one of your weird dreams. I had a very weird one last night, actually. Yeah. Okay. Have you ever had sleep paralysis or anything? Okay. Do you believe in aliens? And what would you say if they landed? Yeah. Okay. What's a conspiracy theory you think might actually be true? Yeah, that's quite a popular one, actually. If a parallel version of you showed up and asked for help, would you trust them? Okay. Have you ever spoke out loud to an object, expecting it to respond to you? What's the creepiest coincidence you've ever experienced? Okay. Have you ever pretended to be someone else online? Okay. What would you do if you just imagine you wake up with gills? What would you do? Yeah, I mean, how do you really answer that question, you know? I mean, I think it'd be pretty cool. Ooh. Right, where were we? Would you sacrifice your best friend to save all of humanity? Yeah, okay. If a mirror version of you appeared, what would you say to it? Okay. Have you ever looked in the mirror and not recognized yourself? Okay. Do you sometimes narrate your life in your head? Okay. Would you eat your own clone to survive? There's a lot of questions about clones and stuff. I promise I'm not trying to clone you. I mean, I'm not going to promise anything because, you know, we don't know how life goes. Maybe I will, but I promise I'm probably not trying to clone you, just... Okay. What's the body part that feels the most like it's not yours? Okay. If you had to remove one of your senses, what would it be? Yeah, it's quite a tricky one, isn't it? Where were we? Have you ever had a premonition that came true? Okay. Yeah. If time froze, except for you, what would you do first? Okay. What's the most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to you? Okay. Right. Would you date a ghost if they were your perfect soulmate? Like, let's say completely matched up in every way, but they're a ghost. Yeah, okay. Would you rather have a third eye or a second mouth? Yeah. If your shadow started moving on its own, what would you do? Yeah, it'd be quite scary. What's your irrational superstition? Nothing behind it, just it's something you're a bit scared of, you know. Okay. If you could upload your consciousness into a toaster, would you? Okay. Yeah. Have you ever felt like someone else was living in your own body? Okay. Would you eat a piece of meat grown from your own cells? I know it's a bit bizarre, but would you? Okay, now, final 20 questions. You might find a little bit creepy, but just try not to freak out, okay? Do you ever wonder who's been watching you walk home every Thursday? Yeah. Why do you leave your bedroom light on until exactly 2:14 a.m? Okay. Do you enjoy that song you were humming in the shower yesterday? Yeah, it's been stuck in my head all day. Yeah. Why did you pause so long before replying to that message last night? I mean, I've not been stalking you or anything. I mean, this is just what it says here. You can't blame me. It's not like I've been stalking you or anything. I wouldn't do anything like that. Like, you're acting as if I'm trying to make you into a clone or something, you know. Yeah. Did you mean to leave your window cracked open? Or were you hoping someone would hear you breathing? Yeah. Why did you check the stove twice, even when it's off, yesterday? Yeah, okay. Did you notice when I sat behind you at that cafe 2 days ago, you were tapping your foot the whole time? I think you might remember that. Okay. Remember, answer all these completely honestly, okay? Why do you talk in your sleep about people you haven't told anyone about? No, you do. I mean, not that I would know or anything, but you do. Do you ever wonder who moved your keys when you left them by the door? Yeah, okay. Why do you look over your shoulder at the same spot when you pass that one alley? Okay. When you laugh alone in your room, you know, do you think anyone except me, of course, hears it? Okay, well, I'm not sure. Why did you delete that photo like 5 minutes after posting it? I already had it saved, of course. Okay. Why do you always tilt your head slightly to the left when you're lying? So that's how I can tell when you've lied on some of these questions. You know, it's quite easy to tell. Who were you smiling at when you thought you were alone in that elevator that one time? Okay. Why don't you lock your bathroom door when you're home alone anymore? Reasonable response. Yeah. Do you still keep that childhood photo in your drawer, you know? Okay. Why do you tense up every time your phone rings from like an unknown number? Yeah. Did you recognise my handwriting on that note you got Are you pretending it didn't exist? Yeah, no, that was my handwriting. Why did you hesitate before answering the door last night, even though nobody knocked? Well, maybe nobody knocked. Okay, well, the final question here is, when are you finally gonna look up and wave back when I'm waving to you? Okay. I think that concludes our questioning. Now, let me just clear up a few things here. It might sound like I'm stalking you, and trust me, I wouldn't call it stalking. It's more investigating, you know. I don't know if I told you, but I'm actually running an organisation that creates what I like to call doubles of people. So then when you do your everyday tasks, you know, your weekly shop, you know, going to work, school, whatever, and you don't want to go, you send someone else to go. So what I've been doing is I've been investigating you to try and build a double that's compatible. I mean, it's a loophole. You don't need to ask for your permission unless you explicitly tell me no after I've made it for you. But just letting you know, you have a double in development. I wouldn't call it a clone. I don't call it a clone. It's not a clone. I mean, you might call it a clone, but I don't like to use that word. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed these questions. I certainly know a lot about you now, and it's all in here. So it's been good seeing you. I'll see you very, very soon. Okay. Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your night, morning. Enjoy.